we did the red EK, and now we are going to go over the specifics of the white EG. There is a lot of crossing over and misunderstandings. People are
confusion. Good
somehow inadvertently mixing up.
That's okay. It makes sense. I built 2 cars. So,
yeah.
So it's understandable.
So one of the things we really want to do is Ryan's going to clarify the differences. People are mixing up the red EK, dual motor, this range, this charge time, and the white EG, which is the one that's the kit that's going to be very helpful for many people, EG, EK, DC chassis. So we're going to clarify right now. So Ryan, go ahead and let's unveil this guy. I mean, it's already been unveiled, but you know what I'm trying to say. And we are going to break down in detail this kit, what the differences are between this and the red EK, because they are massive and it was done like that on purpose. So let's do that now. Uncovered, let's go with that. And just like we did with the red EK, we're gonna do a walkthrough of what he did to the chassis, what makes it so beautiful and well-rounded of a build. It isn't just about the EV. We're gonna go over the whole build. So walk us through it, Ryan.
All right, so this is the 93 Civic hatch. I actually chose the CX base model because I like the missing moldings. I think it's a really clean look, and it just shows like the lightweight car. It kind of gives it that like kind of like base model feel, and then you can, you know, do your own upgrades to it. So yeah, basically painted the whole car Grand Prix white. I always have liked GPW. I think it's a really good color. I've had a lot of cars that are GPW, and I have cars that are GPW. Okay, start from the front basically. ICB Matt hooked me up with this brand new front bumper, and I plugged it up with a factory little plugs.
Yep, license plate plugs.
And I just wanted it to be just like clean to the max. So this is all brand new. And then we just literally painted, you know, the outside. Exceed front lip spoiler. And this one's really cool because I decided to just I wanted to give it that like kind of base model vibe.
With the black, you mean?
Yeah, like breaking it up with the white and the black I think is really nice because it kind of just, it tones it down a lot. Do you know what I'm saying?
It does, yeah,
It gives
absolutely.
it like that simple look. And this is going to be a car that I want to keep forever, and I don't want it to look old, and I don't want it to get old and feel like, you know, overbuilt. So I just wanted to keep it real classy. These are the Japanese plastic corners. They were brand new in the box. Like I sourced brand new ones. Headlights are the glass left-hand drive European version.
Yes, I love it.
So these are really nice because these are, you know,
they're glass, but no nipples.
Yep.
Clean.
And then made for left-hand drive viewing, which is perfect. All the little touches of just, you know, brand new H emblem. I didn't want to do anything like, I didn't want to shave it. I didn't want to do anything extreme. I just wanted to bring it that factory look. Going around the side here, we actually have, this is a Mode Parfum side skirt. I also have a set of brand new in the box EG side skirts, but I thought these were pretty cool because it gives it kind of like that EK look.
Yes.
But then they're painted the same color. And it's actually the exact same height. So that was all like...
Yeah, that worked out really well.
Yeah, it worked out really nice. Had to revamp some of these fenders. Can't get anything really brand new for these cars anymore. Like I said, I was grateful enough to get the front bumper, but everything else has just been fixed.
Well, you got the moldings brand new.
Oh yeah, so all the moldings on this car were everything is sourced brand new.
Look at how clean that is, guys. I don't know, for those of you that know me, I'm an EG guy. That's my first love, seeing brand new.
That was actually the first thing that I bought for this car. I was like, I'm gonna build this if I can get all the moldings. So I just started sourcing them, and I was able to grab a few of them, enough to just get by, and then I slowly found everything.
Yes.
So that was really cool. Just, you know, these moldings here. There's there's so many different ones. It kind of sucks because there's like,
yeah, the doors have multiple pieces. Stops the water on the inside, the middle part, the outside. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, love it, man, love it. And then the mirrors.
And then the mirrors are Mode Parfum. I actually don't love this thick carbon weave.
Oh, you like more like the 1x1?
Yeah, 1x1's better. Or no, this is 1x1. I think this is 1x1. I think the 2x2. I don't remember. I like it like a little bit smaller weave than this one.
Yeah. I believe 1x1 is what Spoon uses, the extra tight small one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's more the look that I think I would have liked.
Okay.
But I actually may just end up painting it to match.
Okay.
And just tone it down a bunch.
What do you guys think about it? Do you think it would look cool to match the skirts and the lip and the base, or should he leave it? He's gonna do whatever he wants. But I kind of think it. I kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I kind of see what you're saying.
And then as far as wheel and tire package, so they got the Toyo R888Rs. We got the classic. These are actually SLs, and then what I did was just got the older stickers.
Yeah.
So that way it kept it kind of more like in the right time.
Oh, like period correct?
Yeah, more period correct with that. And then obviously spoon calipers. Those were brand new. And then I also got Jaren's rotor setup, which is really cool.
So they're 15 by 8 what?
They're 15 by 8, 35?
32 or 35 probably?
35.
TE37 SLs.
Yep.
You did them, what, is it diamond black? Gloss black.
These are diamond black.
Diamond black.
Yep, they're just off the shelf that way. I didn't have them redone.
Oh, yeah. But then you did the OG blue stickers.
Yeah, OG blue stickers and then the spoon.
No, I totally dig it.
Let's see, on the back, this is the Exceed wing.
Okay.
Same thing, just kept it real clean with just the matte black look. Everything is kind of new back here. These are actually just some like eBay tails right now. They're actually not bad looking at all. I had to kind of trim them to fit up a little bit better. But I do have some Japanese ones that Exceed Yasu gave me.
Yeah.
But I need a little bit of buffing on those to just clean them up to make them look
So
new.
they shine, yeah.
Yeah, because like they were good, but then they have to be great because they're gonna show. It's gonna look like
Yeah. For all of you EG, EJ guys, what do you think about the red and clear tails? I had them on my EG, 20 years ago. I actually think they look great. If you want it to be JDM all the way around, I get it, but I actually think those look perfectly fine.
Yeah, so no sunroof, just slick top.
Yep.
And then I wanted to show you actually there's brake upgrade on the back here. So I used a Ryan Durr that works with me actually gave me this idea, and he said you can use an EP3 4-lug rotor. So I used that. And then a Type R caliper. So it's kind of like a big brake kit. Stopping power probably doesn't really change much, but visually it fills in the wheel a little bit, so that's why I went with it.
So EP3 rotor.
Yeah, the 4-lug EP3.
The 4-lug, so 96.
2002, I guess, EP3.
Okay, so I'm thinking there's an EP3 that's 4x100?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like only exists for like 2 years or something like that.
Okay.
And so it's EP3. It's EP3
and then
rotor.
which Type R caliper?
Just
Integra
like
Type R.
Yeah, like a DC2.
DC2 Type R. Huh.
Yeah, I happen to have some from another car. I just had them laying around, so I was like, well, I already have these, and they physically fit because these are DC2, all full DC2 suspension on this car.
Okay.
4-lug, but it's all DC2 sized and knuckles and stuff like that.
Yes.
Because CX had very small drum. They had small stuff on it.
Hey, did you guys all know about the EP3 4x100 rotor with the DC2 Type R caliper combo? If you guys knew about it, let us know in the comments. I haven't built an EG in so long that I forgot all about it, but did you guys know about that? Let us know. But anyway, okay, so you had one part, you're like, all right, thanks, I'm down to do it.
Yeah.
So you got a bit of, now it's addressed braking wise all the way around. I like the black hat, even on a one-piece rotor, it just looks better.
Yeah.
It just looks clean.
Jaren from Wrench Mob is probably going to do another rotor setup as well.
A two-piece?
So
you got a floating hat,
so
nice.
I'll eventually probably go up to that. He's going to do one for larger.
Yeah.
So for my setup, basically. So that'll be cool when it's done. But for now, it's pretty nice. Inside, I guess it's a little hard to open the door right now, but
you're on the lift. Okay.
I'm on the lift here. But I was doing some work. I was trying to get my steering wheel button to work.
So I see the material you did on the door cards.
Some stuff's taken out underneath the dash.
You got your cluster and then the spoon wheel.
I got the AM digital dash with the spoon wheel. And then these are DC2 Type R seats. And then the rear seats are actually factory EG seats. They've just been recovered with kind of matching material. And I did some red stitching as well.
Yeah, it's a great simple touch when you address the rears, and I love it.
There was actually no interior on this car when I got it at all.
You did carpet too?
This car was beat. Yeah, I did. I got a universal carpet kit, and I just took like 12 hours installing it. I just went through, I didn't do any spray adhesive at all.
Good.
So there's no spray adhesive. It just literally like trimmed it meticulously, fastened it down from the center and worked my way out. And then re-secured all the, like literally punched holes and put new clips and like
all the OEM places.
Everything.
Beautiful.
So it actually looks very, very OE. And then just like, I had to buy like 3 different dashboards and like gather little bits from it.
Oh, I see.
And then source it. I actually had a dash that had the SRS airbag removed.
Yeah.
It was just clean because I guess it was the earlier year.
Is that the one you wanted to keep?
I wanted to,
Sure.
but that dashboard was not really salvageable.
Oh, I see.
Unfortunately, but I did get a lot of good parts from it.
No,
Yeah.
it's really cool. With better lighting and later on with other content we do together, I'm gonna show you guys the interior a little bit better. But you have the wing, the tails, realigning everything, brakes, wheels, and the lip and the mirrors and all the moldings. We haven't even touched on. You mentioned it real briefly before we even get into the engine bay. GPW, yeah, but I mean, do you want to touch on how much time and effort it took to get the white to look as crisp and clean as it is?
Yeah, my our buddy Mitchell, Technique Detail, he had to go through this car. He honestly spent, like, no joke, more than 75 hours.
Sure.
Like
75 hours though. Okay.
It's a massive, I mean, it was all week. He spent an entire week, every day, like overtime, working on this paint to get it to where it's at.
I visited maybe 3 to 5 times while Mitchell was doing it. And the thing that was really cool is, he's got the monocle and measuring, and he's got, LED lights and all these things. And what he would do is he'd either sit on a stool so that when he was working on, say, the quarter panel here, he was never doing it like this, like looking down. He would always be level with it, or they would go up with the car so that he could sit and be looking at it eye level at all times. And you end up, I don't know how much justice this camera is going to do it, but you guys, the reflection and the depth of Grand Prix white on here is pretty amazing. So big shout out to Mitchell for doing that. Now we're going to end up getting into, of course, the engine bay setup, visual execution, but the system that everyone is talking about, we're going to get into that right now. Let's go. The most viewed part that everyone has the most questions about, and what needs the most clarity is this setup versus the EK.
So what I like about this is that this doesn't scream electric at all. You never know. Right.
Both cars.
Yeah, of course. And that's why I planned it that way, of course. As you can see under here, the paint is just as good as the outside.
Oh, yeah.
And, a few people have asked me, like, why don't I shave the engine bay or do these things? Right. The way that it is executed right here is the way that I planned it. So I didn't want any gaping holes in the firewall, so we just take pieces of metal and basically body adhesive or weld that to the firewall, and then they just kind of look like that they're not punched out from the factory.
Yes.
That's the plan. That's what I wanted it to look like. All these holes are perfectly acceptable for me. I like it that way.
So that, I'm sure that came up a lot. If you did all this, why didn't you quote unquote shave everything? But variations between this setup and the EK, it's quite major, and it's crazy how online there's so much mixture, right? There's a lot of mixture.
A lot of people are taking like info with the battery size and not knowing, or, oh, would be really cool if that was all-wheel drive. Okay, well, the EK is all-wheel drive. Oh, I wish that the range would be better. Okay, well, the EK has a bigger battery.
Yeah.
Or why isn't it this? Why isn't it? It's always like I don't even say anything anymore, but it's just like, oh, you don't like that this one isn't all-wheel drive. Okay, well, the other one's all-wheel drive. Oh, you don't like how the range on this one is lacking a little bit. All right, well, the range on the other one is greater. This is supposed to be a kit. I was building the red car, and I had a lot of people that were like, can you sell that to me? When can I buy it? Is there going to be a kit? And I was really just like, no, there's absolutely not going to be a kit. Because you got to cut the whole thing up, and structural batteries, and like the price point of building that car was through the roof. So then that's what actually really made me think, okay, well, I need to get like an EG and another car. And the development for like mounts and front motor placement, and we'll get into that later, this was already kind of done from the other car.
Okay.
It wasn't like I had bracket to hold this charger, for example. That was already done and developed from the red car. It wasn't that far away to actually make a kit and just do like a front motor kit, and that's what this is. So I guess we'll just get into what is this motor, what is it from, what is it power, etc. This is a front motor from a Tesla Model S. We can call it like a 2016, 17, 18, 19, something like that. The cool thing about this is that these are actually not very desired, but the bad thing is they only come in the front motor cars.
Okay.
So the all-wheel drive dual motor Teslas always have a rear, but some of them have a front. And then so this is that front motor. Pretty cool that they're not as desired, so they're cheap. I bought one of these with some like a cracked part of it for $200. I bought another one that's perfectly good. I think it might have been this motor, $600.
Okay.
And then you could just buy them online all day long for $1,000. The price on these is super low. To control it, you do need an AEM circuit board that lives inside the inverter side.
So you do have to open it up.
You have to open this section, and there's an electronics board with cooling and whatnot in it.
Yes.
And you have to replace that, change it out. It's really easy to do, but you got to do that. And then another thing is this motor in a Tesla is actually like that. It's very easy electronically to have this motor spin in the opposite direction, because literally all you're doing is you're spinning it the other way.
And there isn't any con to spinning it the other way.
There is some cons,
okay,
but they can be addressed.
All right.
And what I did is the motor itself can spin either way, not a problem. It's the gearbox side of things.
Okay.
So the motor's here.
Yes.
And then the inverter electronics are here. And then inside back here, there's a differential.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's some gear set in between. There's an oil pump in here. This motor uses basically like transmission fluid, ATF, and that acts as its lubricant and its oil. So there's, like oil coolers right here. There's oil that's, pumping through, and then there's an exchanger up top. At any rate, there's an oil pump drive in there, and that oil pump drive has to get turned in the opposite direction. When it's in reverse, it doesn't have the same pressure forward and back. So the oil pump has to get addressed and modified. Pretty easy to do. You have to open up the whole transmission side. The whole motor has to get opened up, and you have to modify the oil pump. It's also helical gears, so you're actually like meshing the gears in the opposite direction. We have a WaveTrack LSD in here, and they actually have it set up where it's going to spin in the opposite direction. So that's all proper now. Gear set isn't ideal, but they're beefy enough that people aren't really having failures, but that's just something that we're going to address in testing.
This is all part of the whole R&D of making this feasible for people.
Right.
The electronics are all available.
Yep.
Right. You didn't have to create the electronics.
No.
AEM and other companies have already been on that.
Yep. AEM worked with a company called Cascadia that's been doing EV stuff for a good amount of time, like performance EV. And they developed a circuit board, and then there's also a VCU, which is a ECU for the whole chassis, because
vehicle control unit.
Yep, a vehicle control unit. It also operates fans and pumps and other things, and that's why it's called vehicle and not just. And then there's no engine, so it's not ECU anymore. Yeah. So they just call it a VCU.
Well, isn't there also a CCU?
CCU is this, and this is just the charger.
It's a charger control
unit. The CCU
unit.
stands for combined charging unit, I believe. And combined means that there's a DC to DC in here, which is basically your 400 volt pack down to your 12 volt battery. And so that's it's like a big alternator, if you will.
Okay.
So there's like an alternator in here, and then there's also the onboard charger for the AC charging.
For the AC, okay.
For like the slower charging.
So people who, if you could give someone a crash lesson in AC and DC and why 400, 700 versus the 12 volt that, the average person's, my car's 12 volt. But then how are these 400 and 700 and 1000 DC versus AC?
Our high voltage pack on this, like where the energy is stored, where we get our range from, where we get our discharge current from, is 400 volts DC. And that's basically 6 modules that are 60 volts each, linked together from positive to negative, and it builds up to 403 volts. Okay. So this inverter is a 400 volt system inverter. The motor on this side is AC. It's an AC motor. The inverter is in between that. So it takes 400 volts. It's happy with 400 volts. And then it inverts, if you will,
yes,
and controls this AC motor. So it's a 3-phase AC motor through the inverter, and then it's getting 400 volt DC.
So it's receiving its 400 volts from the batteries, and then inverting it, converting it to AC
motor
for the drive unit.
Right. So that's really the only thing that's AC on this car is the actual motor itself. And then the batteries are 400 volt DC. The inverter takes DC. There's also another factor that's AC, and that's a wall charger. So in a building or in your house, because everything is AC, the charger also has to convert, getting AC in, and then it's converting as well, and then charging the DC batteries. So it's a little bit of like conversion stuff going on.
Sure.
That's just like the technology and where we're at right now.
But all of these items from VCU, CCU, circuit board, inverters, that's all going to be or is already integrated and included in the kit that you're developing. So someone doesn't really have to AKA learn how to do it per se.
Right.
It would come as a system, and then you would have to, of course, physically, mechanically mount it. They wouldn't have to necessarily learn all of the intricacies.
You don't really have to know what's going on per se. Like, that's the goal with this, is that you just kind of plug and play things together and maybe connect a few things up with some instruction, not really knowing exactly what's going on and how it works. It just kind of sorts itself out, because that's why I'm there to have
to develop.
Clearly there's cooling going on here.
Yes,
right?
yes. We talked about that with the EK, but once again, just touch on it. Why do you have to have what is just known to us as a good old water radiator, heat exchanger, and then also air conditioning?
Yeah, so this is just your good old radiator. The fan, actually, I haven't really even used it yet, but it'll come in handy when things get a little bit more heat in them. But yeah, this is just a heat exchanger, and when this only really gets warm when it's charging and discharging. So when we're charging, there's a lot of heat that's generated here. There's like
normally
electronic,
though, right? Normally, it's just part of the heat is just a byproduct of what's occurring inside,
yeah,
right?
because there's current, there's AC current flowing into this, and then that's giving 12 volts to your battery, but then also giving 400 volts and filling up your 400 volt pack. So there's a lot of heat exchanging going on here. So when I'm charging and plugged in to my just like AC wall charger, there's introducing a lot of heat in this charger. So there's cooling passages that are going to go through that. Okay, and then when you're discharging, your inverter's getting discharging, meaning like, you know, accelerating hard, right?
Yes.
Hard acceleration, like deep that DC battery pack. Your inverter's going to get warm. Your motor stator is going to get warm. There's cooling, you know, with the oils and stuff, like the oil inside of that helps. There's heat exchangers, and then there's water going through it. So water goes in the inverter and out of the inverter and into the motor, you know, oil exchanger, and then out, and then back through that, through the radiator, and then there's a water pump down below that's basically pushing it all.
But I mean, all of these heat things, that's why you have fins and fans and in the casing, right? That's all simply for heat dissipation.
Exactly. It's just helping aid heat dissipation and cooling. So,
and air conditioning, good old classic air conditioning, is just a creature comfort.
Just creature comfort on this car, yeah. The other car's different, but this one's literally just because, you know, it's nicer to have AC in a car. You could drive and feel comfortable in.
Okay, so question, why did you go with you know, an OEM AC setup versus an electric air conditioning setup?
It is electric.
Okay.
And this is actually a Tesla AC compressor right here. And this is on the 400 volt system. So you see the orange cables coming out of it. This is getting powered off the 400 volt battery pack.
Okay. So you have a condenser and a compressor, but the power source is electric.
Yep, exactly. It's 400 volts, and it, you know, it uses like 12 volts for switching it on, but it gets its actual power from the 400 volt battery. Anytime that you have a 400 volt battery on a car, you're always better off getting any system that you're going to add or that you're trying to use. Try to put it on the 400 volt battery, because then it's pretty much always going to be more efficient.
Yeah.
It's going to be a better system.
Sure.
It's going to draw less amps, and then it's also going to not have to be converted.
Okay, so like, question, have you actually turned it on and tried it?
Not yet.
Okay, because I'm super curious. In theory, is it going to get cold fast?
It should definitely work better than like one of those 12 volt.
For sure. Like the classic 90s.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, let's be honest, guys. 90s Honda air conditionings were like really not that great. And I'm super curious about how...
Even the 12 volt electronic AC systems, this is going to be way superior.
I mean, just because 12 volt versus 400.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It draws less amps. It's way more efficient. It's going to just get colder just by the nature of it.
And so even in the, I mean, we're talking about all the technicalities, but you know, you guys can see the visual execution from the hood latch, the hardware, refreshed air conditioning unit. Or did you get everything brand new?
Pretty much everything is brand new.
Okay, so the fan, the shroud, I know you made custom lines, but the fins, the core, everything's brand new?
Yeah, this is all brand new.
Beautiful.
New lines. The dryer receiver is all brand new. Under the dash is not, though. There was a couple electronics that looked kind of suspect, so I just like changed out certain parts, but the actual like everything under the dash is all original.
Okay, so we're going to get to the batteries. We're going to show you guys all that. But I mean, once again, we did this for the red EK. We need to do this for this car. We'll hit some of the few major questions that seem to be redundant. Okay, what is the charging time for this setup, which is the kit premise template for what will be available to the public that people are inquiring about? What is your charge time? What is the power? You know, how does it differ from what you did in the EK?
Right. Okay, so let's start with battery pack. We have to kind of take that step back.
Yeah.
The battery on this car is only 16 kilowatts. It sounds super low, but you pay per kilowatt hour. Also, I didn't want to cut anything on this car.
Yes.
So nothing's been cut. The structure is all original. The floor is a stock Civic. I just used the battery area is only living where the spare tire is. Okay, so there's 6 modules without cutting the car that fit without any kind of visual impact.
Yes.
It's only 16 kilowatts.
Yes.
It's super small pack, but like I said, you pay per kilowatt hour. It brings the price point down dramatically.
Yeah.
I figured that, and you have to be at 400 volts. You can't just go like, all right, I'm going to keep putting modules until I run out of space. You have to plan accordingly based on your architecture of the actual battery. You can't just like throw things together.
It's not Legos. You can't just stack them.
Exactly. You don't just get to a la carte it. You have to design it based on the actual what your
final output is going to be. Okay.
So then I just took these Chrysler Pacifica hybrid batteries. They're just an LG based battery they're quite good for discharge.
Okay.
A lot of times hybrid batteries are good for discharge because they're not like as much for like storage, so they'll discharge better, which is nice. They are only 16 kilowatts. You could do the math really easily on how long it's going to take to charge those. This is like an 8.8 kilowatts. It's like 9 kilowatts an hour.
Yes.
And you're only charging from like 20% to
80%
most of the time. So there's only like a 60% of that
range that you're trying to charge.
So like, you know, and the top, it's going to go a little slower, but it's really fast at the beginning. It's like a couple hours to charge it all the way, all the way up.
Sure.
But you could plug it in just into a wall and have it be just like in an hour, you're pretty much charged up.
Yep.
I mean, probably even less than that, to be honest.
So we're talking a couple hours or less.
Yeah, like an hour, 30 minutes will get you most
of
the way there.
Sure. And then the range?
The range is only going to be, like doing the math, like 70 miles.
Okay.
70, 75 miles.
Okay, couple hours, 70 miles, and then it makes about how much power?
This motor is 300 horsepower.
300.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like 295, but the AEM, you can kind of discharge a little faster, and 300 horsepower like pretty easily. Okay, so you guys, one of the most important things to understand that he's explaining is the differences between the EK and the EG, and why we want to clarify that, because this is the no cut. I think that's the most important thing. Like customers shouldn't be expected to chop their car all up. Right. You're not gonna. Nobody wants to do that. I very few people would be down to do this car. And that's the thing. When you're using the spare tire well of a small economy car from the 90s, what he's been able to fit is the 16 kilowatt pack, and that's small. But you can do an EV conversion, and you're like, one day you're like, I want to go K. And you can absolutely do that, and there's nothing that happens. The EK that he did is all cut up, and that's the reason why it makes so much power and everything. For the lay customer, the no-cut kit is where you can remember the differences. 16 kilowatt, spare tire well. That's why you're only going to get 70 miles. But if you're going to the homie's house, a meet, cars and coffee, that's fine. Yeah, right? Like I can charge at work. Because that's the biggest thing, the gripe you hear is 70 miles. But I mean, if you're trying to use it as a daily driver, fine. If you're just utilizing it to have fun, to accelerate fast as hell, because 300 instant horsepower is fast. It's very fast. It's very fast. And I think that's one of the things that I think people keep missing is, I get it, right? 70 miles, but it's like, it's not modifying your chassis metal at all. Right. And there's enough chargers everywhere that, like, I have them at the shop, I have them at my house. I'm not even thinking about that part of it. You know what I mean? It's like you plug it in for a few minutes, all right, now you're charged up, go out. Yeah, go out. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not putting massive miles on this car either. Right. And I'm thinking about it from the lay person when they look into it and they're just like, that seems so short. But I mean, all right, if you commute from Orange County to LA to go to work, not the setup for you. Yeah. But if you want to have fun, be quick, go out, it's totally
feasible, and you can do it without cutting up your EG, EK, or DC. All right, so we've got 300-ish horsepower, and then we'll get to the weight. 300-ish horsepower, less than 2 hours of charge time, and the range is about 70 miles. All right, EK is entirely different, you guys. This is the no-cut kit and what it can do for you. And then what does, with this particular 16 kilowatt battery pack, this setup, what is the weight of this setup?
I weighed this setup, it's 2,200 pounds.
Okay, so there you guys go. 300, 2,200 pounds.
Yeah, battery pack is heavy. Oh, it's 50-50 weight
And
distribution.
it's, woof, perfect.
So there, you know, the battery pack in the back's like, you know, as tech gets better, it'll get lighter.
Sure.
And the range will get better. That's another reason why I'm doing this, is because I just wanted to get some kind of an entry point into it.
Yeah.
And when the tech gets a little bit better, then we'll just like upgrade those components.
Definitely.
But the battery in the back's like, I don't know, it's like 250-ish pounds, which is pretty heavy. But like I said, small battery. This motor's only 200 pounds. So it really is a 50, like we did the scales and it's like pretty much like 50-50 dead on.
That's awesome,
it's pretty
man.
crazy.
So we'll show you guys the battery setup real quick so you have an understanding. If you have an EG, EK, DC, you know, what it would look like for you. And you can see how the size of it yields the numbers that we just gave you. So let's go ahead and we'll look at that right now. The heat is just a byproduct of what's occurring inside,
Yeah,
right?
because there's current, there's AC current flowing into this, and then that's giving 12 volts to your battery, but then also giving 400 volts and filling up your pack. So there's a lot of heat exchanging going on here. When I'm charging and plugged in to my just like AC wall charger, there's introducing a lot of heat in this charger. So there's cooling passages that are going to go through that.
So we open up the hatch and you guys can see.
So this is just really a pretty rough prototype.
Yeah, the EK was very much about fit and finish, and and then this
this is more just like development in the works.
Yeah,
if you want to call it that. You know, it's just plate.
That's a rock solid plate. Holy shit.
Plate metal, and then actually there's going to be, so how this fastens is that big hardware, like M10 hardware right there where the bumper beam, you know, connects.
Okay.
And then also my plan is, I haven't done this yet, but it 100% is going to happen. There's going to be a strut tower bar that's going to live here and then fasten to it.
Okay, to secure it from the top and the bottom.
So I'm given support in the back and then support on the top like this. And what that's going to do is any kind of like rollover accident or something like that, that bar across should hold this pack down.
Okay.
And then it can't go anywhere because it's all bolted down to the chassis as well.
Sure. So for
just,
anyone with this particular spare tire well, you have this plate, you got this plate, and then you place it within this area and it fits just like that.
Yep. And then I can create sides and walls and structure for protection like later on.
Yeah.
Front fixing or something like that. But like the wiring here is all just like, you know, loose and run, because I didn't know if I was gonna have to chase gremlins or, you know, like sort out things. Also, like for production, this doesn't need to be like twisted concentric ray cam or anything. Just expandable loom is good enough for like kind of production, and then it can be taped with like nice tapes or heat shrinks or something. But this is just super rough right now, just to kind of test fit and finish. The funny thing is I actually had it cut out of wood.
Okay.
And my first prototype was just like wood planked.
Yeah.
And that worked, but then I was like, oh, I have a little bit of time until SEMA, so I'm at least just gonna have it cut out of aluminum.
Okay, so for the people wondering, for the quote unquote final kit, the production,
it'll look different than this.
It'll look different. Will you include the rear shock tower bar?
That's the goal, yeah.
To include it in the kit.
Include that with
Very cool. And then it'll have the fit and finish of the wiring will be tighter.
Yeah.
But this is your physical placement, so people have an idea.
Yeah, this is just kind of to get an idea, and that you still have a little bit
storage room,
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Just protect it a little bit more.
Yes.
Fit and finish it a little bit more. Make sure things aren't kind of off and whatever. But yeah, there's an isolation switch here. And it's currently on.
Yeah, so hence the no cut, because other than this hardware that's going down through the body, that's it. And so when we go up right now and we look at the suspension, just like we did with the EK where you see all that work done, this is going to be stock underneath.
Yep, exactly. And let's look at that right now.
Let's go. right, so we are here underneath. You guys can see how massively different it is from the EK in the sense that this is your OEM metal. Ryan did an undercoat on this. That's why everything looks fresh black.
Yeah, it's pretty fresh. You can real nice shot of this nitron suspension. That's a really, really nice piece. I'm actually quite impressed from Nitron. Really, really fancy, nice coilover. So I know they perform great, and I can't wait to try those out. And then I have PCI, just some like very light upgrades on this car.
For the camber.
Yep.
And then these calipers, did you refresh them?
Yeah, those are refreshed calipers.
Okay, very
just
nice.
You know, all the basics to make sure, like, you know, wheel bearings and stuff are all replaced, just to make sure I'm not gonna have, you know, issues down the line. But I didn't go like above and beyond too much on some of these parts.
Sure.
Because they were in pretty good shape and didn't
But
really
yeah,
feel like
so
I
you got
needed
rear
it.
LCAs, you got new brakes,
Yeah.
bearings, you got the Nitron suspension, your ASR subframe brace, new undercoating, your PCI camber correction, and then there we go, you guys. You can see the lines.
Yeah,
from
so
there.
I opted to actually do two small, you know, penetration holes. But, you know, if I wanted to, or if, you know, somebody that is installing this chose to, you could just run it through where the gas tank lid is.
right
So
there, yeah.
In theory, you can have zero cutting, zero drilling. It would
Of any type at all, go right through there.
Yep. So actually, to protect this cable, if you could see, I just used this like Schedule 40 stuff from Home Depot.
Okay.
Kind of funny, but that's honestly, it worked really well because it's super strong. And
Yeah.
it's thick, and any protection, you know, from rocks and stuff, that'll totally work.
Is that predominantly used in industrial or homes?
Yeah, I think just in like in industrial buildings and stuff. But yeah, the cables just run through that, and then I'm gonna put some like orange conduit, because if the car did flip over and, you know, there was like an accident where,
You want it to be
for safety, if somebody had to cut through the car,
Okay.
you would want to avoid the orange cables at all costs. So I'm gonna just cover these with like a split corrugated orange cable.
But that's kind of like a general industry understood thing. If you see orange cabling, you just don't cut through.
Yeah, safety people, personnel know that don't cut orange
Just
cables.
don't cut orange cables. Okay, so you're gonna
High
put that on there. That'll come with the kit for people. Okay, you guys can follow the lines, and we go up here, and you see how we connect there to there. On this side, we go up here, and you see how it goes up in there.
Yeah, positive and negative from the motor are here, and then there's a disconnect I added. Just, you know, I probably won't do this like for the kit per se, but I made a disconnect there. And then there's also the high voltage cables going through here for air conditioning, and then the onboard charger and a couple of things.
So you guys can see you have axles, knuckles and hubs, control arms, steering rack. I mean, not that it's required, but what did you modify on this steering rack?
That's actually unmodified. I just have electronic power steering system underneath Moscraft unit that's on the actual column itself.
On the column, yep. And then people can do that off of like Teslas and stuff, right?
Well, Moscraft uses like a K-car unit from Japan.
Okay.
But a lot of people do like Prius and stuff.
The Prius one.
Prius, yeah.
That's kind of becoming a thing, I think. You just have to fab, aka physically mount it onto your column.
Yeah.
And wire it in.
Yep.
Yeah, so this one is stock. The EK, I remember we talked about that, what you modified.
Yeah.
But you guys can see here, you mount it, you got motor mounts, you have axles, and your knuckles and hubs, and everything is OE.
Pretty simple, right?
Yeah, it is
from
pretty
the bottom,
simple.
You really think like, there's not a whole lot going on here. You got water lines, axles,
Mm-hmm.
mounts, some wiring.
AC system, lines that went in here.
The dryer's actually just bolted to the frame and hidden in the wheel well.
Yep.
There was a bunch of space in there, so I figured I would just do that.
Yeah.
AC is not required. You don't have to do that.
That was just you having a creature comfort.
And then there's also a cabin heater on the 400 volt that I just basically took system out.
Yeah.
The exchanger out of that, and I put the high voltage one in.
Yeah.
I just kind of like cut it and sandwiched it in there and just put everything back.
Yeah.
So there is a high voltage 400 volt cabin heater.
Okay.
Because I'm not using
a heater core.
Well, it still has it doesn't have a heater core. It's gutted. It's like a gutted heater core.
Okay.
So I'm still using the fan and everything around it.
Sure.
And then there's no cooling lines going to it. It's
Okay.
400 volt.
People can run the CSF standard location radiator. That's just the way you did the plumbing. And then we have the water there.
Water pump in there.
Water pump in there. Nice OEM location. And it goes right there. You guys can see he just did Wiggins there. You guys don't need to do that. What do you think? Are you going to have kit options?
For the cooling?
Let's say somebody wants AN or they want Wiggins, or are you going to have that option available?
I took measurements and stuff, so I could totally make another AN kit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then these billet pieces, I actually catted those. So that's something that I created myself. Mm-hmm. So I did it with a number 8 AN ORB.
Okay.
So you can do a Wiggins clamp, or you could do your typical AN lines if you wanted to. I think that a lot of people will probably want to do AN lines.
Sure.
So I'm gonna have that as an option, but definitely not required. You could just do like some HPS silicone hoses and just push them on.
Quick and easy and inexpensive.
Do a little ear clamp on it, clamp it, done. Like you could easily do it the quick and dirty way and it'd still look pretty good.
Yeah, and functionality won't be compromised at all.
And then, you might notice like a few things that are off here and there with this whole kit,
Yeah.
But it's just because we're just still in development with a few things.
Yeah.
We're gonna redo the mount and then just more R&D on things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it an actual good kit for the public to
Yeah, of course.
be able to use.
Yeah.
So as I see little failures and upgrades and things that I want to do to make it better, I'm just doing that right now.
No, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, there you guys go. You got the brake setup that we talked about earlier and the spoon calipers, Jaren's brake setup. He did his lines right there. OEM location, grommets, nice and clean and simple. Mounts are going to be redesigned a little bit, but axle right there, water pump, air conditioning, radiator, and then you guys saw the lines. Body is completely untouched. You use the transmission tunnel, go all the way over here, and like he said, other than these holes, you could absolutely go through your fuel pump cover, have zero change to the chassis whatsoever.
Yeah, and then in theory, if you wanted to give it a go and then go back to a gas engine later, you totally could. Your call. I doubt that you'd want to, but you totally can. And yeah, I mean, really just, it's kind of cool having like all this empty real estate to kind of like run stuff with no gas tank in there.
Yeah,
and it's
very,
also a
very
good
cool.
weight reduction without your exhaust, gas tank. So I shed a bunch of weight and then I added a little bit back with battery.
Yeah.
But then that motor is significantly lighter than an engine. That's why the curb weight is only 22.
Hold on. You said that motor is significantly lighter than an engine. Some people will be like, wait a minute. Can you? I always like to geek out on this kind of stuff. Engine, motorsports, engine modification. What is the difference technically between an engine and a motor?
Combustion engine.
Yes.
Electric motor.
Okay, now, how many of you guys have ever really thought about that? We always use the words interchangeably, but technically, they're not really supposed to be used interchangeably?
Right.
Okay.
But now it's going to be a lot. You're going to have to be more sensitive to that now because there's actually cars with motors in them now. You know what I mean?
Versus before they were engines.
Yeah, but sometimes I screw up too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just because it rolls off the tongue. You say motorsports, right?
Yeah, we've been saying motoring, motorsports forever.
Yeah, engine sports, engineering. It doesn't make it doesn't roll off the tongue. So we'll still say motorsport.
Yeah.
But you'll be a little bit more like sensitive when it's like, okay, an electric motor or combustion engine.
Sure. So there you guys go, man. What do you think? I know at SEMA, all the reels and all the different stuff going on, no one is really underneath the car, but you get a chance to see here, aside from no fuel tank, but standard suspension. You can go with any subframe brace and rear LCAs you wanted. Ryan's running Nitron suspension. You could utilize whatever you currently have if you wanted. But here you have, right here, you guys, just through the tunnel, and you don't have to change anything else. No cut kit.
It's super simple, I think. It really simplifies.
There's some things that you're working on, redesigning or reinforcing mounts, X, Y, and Z, a little bit here and there, but you're pretty close.
Yeah.
You're pretty close. A little bit of aesthetics and fit and finish for what it'll look like in the hatch. And other than that, it's really close to being something that you're going to create like a drop-down menu, pick X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You source the power packs and whatever drive unit. And then basically everything else will be available through RYWIRE. You're gonna have
Yeah, I don't want to sell the motor themselves.
Yeah.
Just because like I don't want to sell used parts. You know
Sure.
what I mean? But my kit couldn't survive on brand new parts because the nearest competing motor as far as like performance and whatnot, brand new, 15,000 versus used 1,000 on the high side.
I see.
So like it's 15 times cheaper, and like right there, that's a deal breaker for 99.9.
For sure.
So I had to go with a used motor. I don't want to sell them. You know, I just don't want to sell that used part.
So you said your kit couldn't be used with brand new part.
No, if I did like let's say a brand new $15,000 Cascadia drive unit, you'd have to re-engineer the mounts at minimum.
Okay, got it. So it is and solely designed to use that drive unit.
This drive unit.
Yes.
The front Model S flipped around.
The front Model S Tesla drive unit, but they are available in the hundreds for cheap.
Yeah, like
in the thousands.
They're plentiful. I could probably source like 20 of them right now for like $1,000 each.
Okay, so that's the going rate. So, you know, that kind of something you guys might want to factor in, because like anything, when people start to realize that there's a demand, the price will go up.
But I just bought one that had a little crack on the case.
Yeah.
$200, dude.
Dude, isn't that nuts? But yeah, you know, if you're gonna do it, if you're on the fence about it, when he announces that it's ready to go, I think maybe it should just be the time, because the pricing is just gonna go up. Nothing really ever is gonna go down. When things become more scarce, they become more expensive. There we are, you guys. We have the EK that we covered, and then now you see the differences for the template for the no-cut kit that RYWIRE is making. If you guys have any other questions, put them in the comments, DM us on socials. But hopefully that answered what you guys were looking for. Ryan, we appreciate, you know what I'm saying, spending time going over this car aesthetically and functionality-wise, technology-wise. And if you guys have any questions, let us know. If you're interested, let us know. If you hate it, let us know. All right? Appreciate you guys. All right, peace.